Well, let's move on here. Let's talk just your appetite for further consolidation in the U.S. Is there still an appetite with your guys' market cap here? Is there still an appetite for early cycle acquisitions in the U.S.? And then let me couple that also with, do you have any appetite in places like Australia, Canada, or Africa?
Well, interesting question. Our appetite is always pretty healthy. Our ability to actually do something about it has changed. We've been pretty frugal all the way along, and we'll continue to be so. But I think, clearly when we made this move last summer and decided to become aggressive and move in the sector, that we were looking for an initial transformational transaction, which we achieved with the Westwater acquisition. It just, from an economic standpoint, doesn't make sense. I'd mentioned we have 2 of the 11 facilities, and I think probably the majority of those are held by public companies, but most of them are one-offs. And there's UEC, URE, they've got a plant, but what you've got to look at is the cost structure and the G&A. And for these plants that are 700,000, 1 million pounds a year, to have one of those and carry a complete G&A structure for that one production asset just doesn't make a lot of sense. Similarly, we're reviewing that on our 2 plants that we picked up in terms of perhaps consolidating those and increasing the capacity at Rosita and basically reclaiming Kingsville. No decision's been made, but it's certainly a possibility. And they're 50, 60 miles apart. It's just an immediate question when you look at them is, do you want to have 2 cost centers when you can combine those, consolidate them, and reduce your cost per pound that's coming out? It's certainly something worth considering. That same rationale, I think, applies to the whole industry. And I think it's an industry on the ISL side that is crying out for consolidation. The conventional side doesn't have nearly that situation, since you basically got 1 mill, and Energy Fuels is the conventional miner and processor in the U.S. And I don't see with the permitting timelines and that sort of thing that are required, it's going to remain that way for some time. But I think there'll be some jockeying for position on the ISR side, and certainly there'll be some consolidation. Investors are going to demand it at some point during the cycle, and it makes just good, plain economic sense aside from that. So, we're aware of the players out there. We certainly aren't the biggest one by any means, but I think we've got some inherent advantages that may well see us as an active participant in that consolidation over the next couple of years. So yes, we're looking.